What's going on, you guys? Hey, welcome back to another episode with iTrack. Big shout out to all the iTrack fam tapping in yet again, man. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Huge shout out to all the members, man. Member shout outs coming in the very next video. And if this is your first time here, what we like to do is take a look at the most interesting and creepy TikToks and kind of evaluate for ourselves whether these are fact or fake. If you haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button for me, smash that subscribe button, and join the iTrack fam. Stay up to date with the latest, greatest, interesting, and creepy videos all across the net. Now, without any further ado, let's just jump straight into it. Hey, can somebody please tell me why they need to learn jujitsu? I was perfectly fine with them being able to do like household chores. Now all of a sudden they're doing karate. That's crazy, man.
The only thing you need to plant a thought in someone's mind is a specific kind of question. I call it the rhetorical inception, and here is how it works. This is day 5 of infiltrating thoughts. The brain loves to be told what to think, but not directly. We crave subtle, indirect guidance. That's where rhetorical inception comes in. It's a simple question that forces your target to justify your idea themselves. Let's say you want someone to buy your fitness program. Don't just say, "This is the best workout plan." Instead, reframe it as a question. By doing this, the brain already registers it as a fact, while the question forces it to come up with answers, and guess what? Their own mind starts promoting your product for you. Since the reasoning comes from their own thoughts, they feel like it was their decision to buy it all along. That's what makes rhetorical inception so powerful. It doesn't just persuade, it implants beliefs.
Speaking of stuff in the sky, though, News Nation, they had a whistleblower by the name of Jacob Barber. He was on one of the retrieval teams for UAPs and UFOs. And they showed a video of them picking up a UAP that was literally looked like a giant egg.
And this thing was just sitting out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
How'd they know about it?
This is the crazy part that he talked about. They're called psionics, which are basically the Stargate people. Remember Stargate from CIA, where they could see where certain stuff is? So they're called psionics, and they use psychic ability to find and summon UFOs.
Dude, this is what we've been talking about.
Right? And the guy's like, well, what do you say to people that say, like, this is the craziest? Like, I don't know about that. The guy's like, it's 100% real. He's like, in fact, every retrieval mission that they went on, they were within like a 300-foot area where the psionic said that it was going to be at. The psionic person was like, this is exactly where it is, gave the coordinates, and within like 300 feet, it was right there.
Name one job that will be here in 10 years, and I will show you a robot that's already doing it. Go to Boston Dynamics YouTube channel and tell me that they don't already have a robot to replace anything that you have to say. And then there's this amazing Instagram page I've been following for the last 4 years. Every time somebody says, oh, well, what about a roofer? Bro, a roofing robot was invented 2 years ago on top of the roof. It will remove the shingles and install new shingles all as it's going over top of the roof. It's already happening. So people are like, oh, roofers, landscapers. Okay, cool. Let's look at the transportation industry. 7 million people work in the transportation industry. Uber drivers, truck drivers, logistical people. All of those people, 7 million people, are they going to be around in 5 years?
Yeah, you know what? I already saw what was coming. I said this like about 20 videos ago, you know. At the end of it all, it's going to be universal basic income because nobody's going to really have a job like that. There's going to be people that learned how to own this AI and create businesses out of it. And then there's going to be the users, right? So it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild out here. You got to figure it out quickly.
Nobody wants to tell these unfortunate bodybuilding customers is why people are selling whey protein. They're selling whey protein because when you take milk and you convert it into cheese, as the cheese becomes solid, you have all this water that's left over, and you have to drain it out. That water has whey protein in it. And for many years, the dairy farmers couldn't figure out what to do with all of that whey. They would bury it in a landfill. They would pay people to take it away. And somebody found out a number of years ago that they could dehydrate it, put it in a tub, and put it on the shelf and say, this will build your muscles. And sadly, people believed it, and they buy it. To this day, that's what it is. It's the junk of the cheese industry.
Hey, I'm no nutritionist, but if you ask anybody that's in jail that's pretty swollen cut, they weren't using any protein or any whey protein at that. So, you know, I think it's just about consistent working out, pushing through all that lactic acid that builds up, man. So yeah, do your homework.
No. Yes. That's a UFO for sure. Yeah, that's pretty good. What was that thing they shot?
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. What is that?
Has anyone like looked around Kazakhstan? Because I know Borat said it was like a poor country, but I asked ChatGPT like where Tartaria was, and it told me it's in Kazakhstan. And like the more I look around on Google Earth, I'm like what kind of things are actually going on here? And I mean, there's like a bunch of like I'm still trying to figure out what's going on. Like everything seems really nice, and like I never knew they had such amazing structures. But then I did like more digging, and like every single town has amazing, like, oh my god, who made this?
Many people believe the universe is infinite, but have you ever wondered what the shape of an infinite universe might actually look like? The universe is around 13.8 billion years old, and as far as we can tell, it spans 93 billion light years across. This vast bubble is what we call the observable universe, but what lies beyond it? The truth is, we don't know for sure, but it's likely that there's simply more universe out there. However, the idea of it going on infinitely might not mean what you think. According to Einstein, space itself is like a plane, but not a perfectly flat one. Instead, it's slightly curved. If space-time is curved and stretches far enough, it could eventually loop back around on itself. So, an infinite universe might not actually stretch endlessly in every direction. It could be more like an infinite loop. This concept challenges how we perceive infinity, pushing us to rethink what endless really means. It's a mind-bending idea that shows how much we still have to learn about the cosmos.
Take a picture inside the mirror. You can stand in the room and count 5 people in the room, and you take a picture in the mirror. If there's 6 people, what the heck, right? Sorrel Weedhouse doesn't even have this picture that I'm going to show you. There's a woman on the other side of the room who starts losing her mind. She starts screaming, "Oh my God, you got to see this picture. You got to see this picture. You got to see this picture." And she runs over, she shows it to me. You can see me in the mirror. Looming above me, looking over my shoulder, is this gray woman, and she wasn't there. Have you ever been into a cemetery at night? So when you shine a flashlight on a statue in a cemetery, they're like gray. Those are the full body apparitions we would see, and that's what showed up in this photo.
No. Those aren't ghosts. Those are demons.
The Trilon stones. 3 stones, 900 tons apiece, or 800 metric tons, and they were moved a half a mile from the quarry. They were lifted and stacked approximately 30 feet off the ground. And when I say stacked, they were perfectly lined up. This is at the quarry, which is a half mile away. This is where all the stones originate from. And this one right here is what's called the stone of the pregnant woman. It is 1,200 tons. As you can see, it's 14 feet tall. So with those Trilon stones I was showing you a moment ago, the only difference is that this one's 68 feet long. It's virtually the same size, except for just a few feet shorter, but it's the same height.
1,200 tons. Insane.
Right.
So they moved 1,800,000 pounds a half a mile.
3 of them. And that doesn't include the 2 dozen that are 350 tons apiece. That doesn't include the 9 that are 600 tons apiece, are somehow a side note to the Trilon stones. Baalbek has the largest stones that were ever quarried in human history, the largest stones that were lifted, stacked, and transported in human history, and the largest stone columns in all of classical history.
And time is an illusion. It doesn't exist. Once you understand that you are the source of everything and that time is an illusion, that you are the creator and creation is finished, you will collapse the time between now and when your desire manifests. Everything is here and now in different states. Listen to what I am saying. Really listen to what I am saying. Do not doom scroll or whatever the other bullshit that other people do on TikTok. Pay close attention to what I'm going to tell you. It's the most important thing that anyone has ever told you. Everything you desire to experience is here and now. It exists in different states of visibility or invisibility. And what makes it visible or invisible to you is the frequency and vibration that you are embodying, your knowledge of who you are, and not as an identity, but as the creator. The more you understand yourself as the creator, the more those things that are invisible that you desire to experience that are all here now will become visible to you. Don't ever forget what I just told you. This requires a complete paradigm shift for the way that you have been brainwashed. Okay, well, everything I'm teaching you is the exact opposite of everything you've been brainwashed to believe is true.
The scientists just recorded these sounds coming from the sun. There were these chirping sounds. and this weird sound, and these hissing sounds. These sounds were recorded by this probe, which is traveling closer to the sun than any probe ever has before. But if you're thinking, hang on, you can't hear things in space because there's no air, you're exactly right. These sounds are really vibrations of electric and magnetic fields that scientists converted into sound waves. These ones specifically are the sounds of solar wind, or charged particles the sun blasts into our solar system. The whooshing sound comes from changes in the speed of the solar wind, and these layered pitches represent changes in temperature. When it gets hotter, the pitch gets higher. And when there's a big explosion, like a coronal mass ejection, everything gets louder. This new probe is generating a whole space symphony that we're just now getting to hear. If you like optimistic science and tech stories, follow for more.
So here's a fact that sort of terrifies and excites me all at the same time. Some of the biggest lakes on our planet are hidden beneath miles and miles of ice in Antarctica. Exhibit A, Lake Vostok, which is under 2 miles of ice, is 3,000 feet deep and is the size of Lake Ontario. That's a lot of lake. Now imagine all the deep sea creatures that are living inside that lake. And just remember, whatever life is living inside this lake hasn't seen the light of day for 15 million years. That's gonna do something to you. And by the way, the water in the lake is not frozen, it's still liquid, despite the average temperature in the area being around -60 degrees Celsius for most of the year. And that's because ice is actually a great insulator. Plus, Earth is always giving off some sort of heat from its molten core. Now, John Prissu is a polar scientist, and he studies life forms inside of these deep ice lakes like Lake Vostok. And one of the questions he studies is, how do these organisms survive without getting any sunlight? Well, get this. Remember our old friend Dark Oxygen, aka Doxygen? Turns out these microbes are getting their energy from the rocks. And this is wild because for the longest time, biology just skipped over Antarctica thinking there was no life, no biodiversity there. But that couldn't be farther from the truth. There's an entire ecosystem teeming with life that is totally unique to anything else that exists on our planet. And what's even more wild is that the nutrients that are produced as byproducts of this energetic extraction by the microbes fertilize the Antarctic continental shelf and to the rest of the world's oceans. Because yes, despite being buried under miles of ice, these lakes flush out to the ocean. So what does that mean? It means we have this gigantic hidden ecosystem that is potentially shaping the rest of the planet with its water and unique biodiversity, and the study of how this is influencing the rest of the Earth has just begun. What's really interesting is that John collaborated with NASA to see if Jupiter's moon Europa has water on it. John's assessment was that the environment on Europa was very similar to Antarctica. So it's entirely possible that Europa also has massive lakes that are just hidden underneath miles and miles of ice. If you like these types of stories, then give us a follow everywhere at Teal Science.
You know what? I'm pretty sure whatever's lying in Antarctica is pretty serious and pretty precious, especially because if every nation is going to come together and agree not to go there, something's up. Something's definitely up.
Nobody enjoys turbulence. Turbulence are categorized in 3 different ways. There is either light, moderate, or severe. Now, the light turbulence are the ones that we most often encounter on an airplane. You're sitting in the back and it's bumping around a little bit. You might not even notice light turbulence. Moderate turbulence now are determined, and there's not a real good scientific way to determine this. It's kind of at the moment where you're reaching over and you think, maybe I should grab my drink because it might spill. And maybe it's sloshing around a little bit and you're like, okay. And when moderate turbulence become consistently moderate turbulence, continuous, that's when you actually grab your drink and hold on to it, wondering how long is this going to continue. Severe turbulence are defined as you would want to grab your drink midair. You're going to spill your drink for sure. And again, I've only encountered severe turbulence twice in my 40-year career, once at the airline, once in the Navy, and both times for about 8 seconds or less. We try to avoid those at all costs. And usually when you get into moderate turbulence, the pilots are going to go find a better altitude, or they're going to reduce the speed on the airplane so that they don't ever encounter severe turbulence. Light turbulence sometimes are difficult to avoid. Many times you'll call ATC and ask them, hey, what are the rides like? And they'll say there's light to moderate turbulence at all altitudes. In that case, I'm going to dial the speed back a little bit. And there are 2 speeds. Below 25,000 feet, I'm going to dial it back to 270 knots. Above 25,000 feet, I'm going to dial it back to 280 knots. Now you know. I'm Captain Steve. Fly safe. Wait, don't go yet. Do me a favor. Become Captain Steve's new best friend. Hit the like button, share, and subscribe.
Hey, shout out to Captain Steve, man. Big shout out to him for giving us some information. And I like that kind of stuff because it lets us get a bit more comfortable when we're riding a plane and we don't know exactly what to expect. And now we know what levels of turbulence are, so that's cool.
American Airlines flight was delayed more than 4 hours when a passenger arrived with their Wi-Fi hotspot called I Have a Bomb. Despite police boarding the flight and passengers taken off the flight and rescreened, they had no idea who aboard had set the name. K-9 units were brought in. The plane was swept for explosives and all baggage was checked again, at which point the plane was allowed to take off.
Hey, the real question is, who do you get mad in that situation? Do you get mad at the person for naming their hotspot I Have a Bomb, or do you get mad at the airline for reading too deeply into somebody's hotspot? Let me know.
Told you the ocean was the real outer space. A couple years ago, an independent researcher named Tyler Schmerkenhieser designed and engineered a one-of-one submarine with an adaptive hyperalloy composite hull to prove it. Guy was obsessed, believed the concept of the ocean floor itself was a lie. Stuck a camera on the front of the submarine and set off into the unexplored depths of the Mariana Trench. And Buddy, the species he'd captured on these videos, were things that have yet to be explained to this day. But instead of finding the seafloor, he discovered what he described as an abyssal vortex, a swirling black whirlpool that no previous expedition had ever encountered. Said that by the time he'd gotten through it, he rose up to lands that he'd never seen before in his life. Saw these strange human-like beings standing up on the shore. It was like this upside-down world, accessible through vortex canals in the depths of the water.
I don't think we talk enough about how this might have been the most insane thing ever. On October 14th, 2012, Felix Baumgartner became the first person ever to jump from outer space and the first person ever to reach supersonic speeds without the protection of an aircraft. His suit was designed to provide him with 20 minutes of oxygen and withstand temperatures of -72 degrees Celsius. After 35 seconds of free fall through Earth's atmosphere, he broke through the sound barrier.
Was that him breaking the... Yeah.
Then he was free falling for a total of 5 minutes, traveling at nearly 1,400 kilometers per hour. And as he was falling through the atmosphere, he started to spin uncontrollably. And the biggest fear here was that the G-force he was experiencing was going to cause him to bleed out through his eyeballs. But against a lot of odds, he managed to survive. And 8 minutes after jumping out of his space capsule, he landed back on Earth.
Why? Just why? Like, why would you want to do that? Why? Let me know why.
Let's talk about those who are deep observers. These individuals catch all the little things that most people fail to notice. Especially in group settings, they see how dynamics play out. They see when someone is being left out, when compliments are fake, and when smiles are insincere. They've learned to read micro-expressions, interpret body language, and sense emotional changes. This can be both a gift and a burden. These observers tend to understand more than others are willing to share. This type of awareness usually emerges out of necessity. Many deep observers developed this skill when they were young, mostly because they needed to be very aware of others' moods and behaviors to stay safe. This awareness turned into the ability to recognize behavior patterns innately. They developed the ability to read subtle cues and predict how situations would unfold, usually with surprising accuracy. By looking deeper, they help us realize that we can see a lot more.
Very serious warning from the United States Fish and Wildlife Service about goldfish. These little cute guys you see right here, do not release them into the wild, according to our government, because they can, quote, balloon into giant football-sized invaders. Yes, they seem fragile and dependent on us, but they can get this big. Wow. This was in a waterway in Pennsylvania. Whoa! Just the other day. That big and even bigger. They're calling it the megalodon goldfish. A couple years ago, a guy caught a 67-pounder.
That's a goldfish?
So you release them into the wild, and apparently something like flicks in their brain, and they rewild, and they eat fish eggs, they eat algae, they eat insects, they eat other fish.
But they're finally able to eat other real food.
It's a and
the flakes.
They have the little flakes. They want to eat your hand. They want to take the whole hand off. And they live for 40 years.
Oh my God.
There are apparently now millions of them. Thank you very much, children of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Millions of them in the Great Lakes that are invasive.
Oh man!
Wow, I didn't realize they got that big. And can they? Would
So
they
what you're
eat
supposed
a pet?
to? So what you're supposed to do, and this is also hilarious, is rehome them. So find someone who will take your goldfish.
Where would you put that?
Or you can use them in bait. It's legal in 16 states. Check your local listings. What?
What? I don't want to kill them.
What?
I wouldn't want to kill them.
But that's why they're killing everything else.
Oh boy.
It's a tough call, Vlad. It's a tough call.
Demons are not an independent entity. They are the negative side of the archetypal collective consciousness of our people. They manifest as your level of fear carves them out of the clay of our collective consciousness and represents what the issue is that you're dealing with on the negative side, on the dark side. And that's why in the past we instinctively say, face your demons, because they are your demons. They're not independent beings. They are our demons. We create them as a way of creating something, manifesting something that is more tangible out of the collective archetypal consciousness of our society, of our species. And that's why in the past people made lists of the demonic qualities. And if you look at those lists, you will see that they are simply the negative qualities of humanity. There's a demon of greed, there's a demon of lust, there's a demon, So it's like, yeah, we're facing that, but it's our creation reflected back to us in a way that helps us understand how to go through the process of overcoming that. They're not independent entities. They're our creations.
And that makes a bit of sense too. That's why they do tell you to face your own demons, so you can get rid of it, get past it, and then move up to your next level.
Remember that in order to be successful, you have to fail a lot. Thomas J. Watson, the founder of IBM, was once asked by a young man, "How could I be successful faster?" And he said simply, double your rate of failure. If you want to be successful faster, fail more often. You see, there's a law of probabilities that says the more you fail, the more likely you are to succeed. The less you fail, the less likely you are to succeed. Peter Drucker says you would never hire a person who has not had some major failures in life because they haven't learned anything. So the key is, if you want to be successful, don't be afraid of failure. Failure makes you strong. There's an old saying that what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. Failure has made you strong. Failure has developed your character. There's an old saying that the north wind made the Vikings. The cold of the north wind coming out of the north that they had to row against made them the most formidable fighting force in the world. It's failure that makes us strong, but it's the fear of failure that kills us. And the way that you deal with the fear of failure is, once you've decided what your dreams are and what you want to do, act as if it were impossible to fail. Imagine it were impossible to fail. Say, by gum, I can do that, and start to think of all the benefits of achieving that goal, and then act boldly. Confront your fears. Do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain. Do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain. Do you know that the ability to confront the fear of failure and to overcome it and to move towards your fears rather than away from them is the one guarantor that you absolutely become unstoppable? You do it over and over again, you develop the habit of courage. When you develop the habit of courage, eventually you find you're not afraid of anything. When you're not afraid of anything, your whole world opens up for you like a sunrise on the horizon. Everything becomes possible. You look around, a person says, what about this, what about that? I can do this, I can do that. I can do this, I can do that. You get to the point where you're willing to do anything except jump out of an airplane without a parachute.
The reality is, the more risk you take, the luckier you get.
Take the biggest fucking risks of your entire life right now. Remember, you have time.
So people need to learn to take one big risk a day. Every day take a risk and build up that risk muscle, because risk is where success comes.
Risk must be taken for the greatest. Hazard in life is to risk nothing.
You can get so scared, and you can be so easily lulled into the idea that good is good enough, that feeling safe and comfortable is what you should always be looking for. That way of thinking, in your 20s in particular, dead fucking wrong. I want you to start to create this mindset of taking risks and going big.
All
right, so this is crazy. So President Donald Trump and the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, have already struck a deal to end the tariff war between Canada and the United States. I mean, the 180 that Justin Trudeau has had in the past 24 hours is absolutely insane. I mean, he was dealt a hand, he went all in, bluffed, Trump called the bluff, and now he already folded. It is actually unbelievable. So Justin Trudeau just released an official statement, and the change of tone from his speech 24 hours ago is insane. It's like someone hacked his account. So he said, I just had a good call with President Trump. Canada is implementing our $1.3 billion border plan, reinforcing the border with new choppers, technology, and personnel, enhanced coordination with our American partners, and they'll be deploying nearly 10,000 frontline personnel to be protecting the border. He also signed a new intelligence directive to fight organized crime and is backing it with $200 million. Now, just like today's deal with Mexico, this is a 30-day deal while they figure out a long-term solution, so the tariffs will be halted for the next 30 days. Now, whether you like him or love him, this is an absolute masterclass in deal-making right now by President Trump. I mean, just this morning, we had Chuck Schumer at a podium holding an avocado and a Corona bottle, telling Americans to get ready to feel this tariff war in your wallets. And already we have a deal with Mexico. We have a deal with Canada. We have 10,000 troops going to the border of Canada. We have 10,000 troops going to the border of Mexico. I think what we're seeing right now is a President Trump who is not running for re-election because he can't. So he's just doing whatever he feels is necessary.
In the LGBT community who want to have a biologically related child. Two men who could potentially use IVG for reproducing a child who's genetically related to both parents of the same sex. The other thing that has been proposed, some people have talked about so-called multiplex parenting. You could use IVG to create two embryos, use the IVG technique again to create sperm and eggs, and then create yet a third embryo. Now you have essentially what is genetically a grandchild,
and they murdered the two other embryos.
Exactly. And you could do this as many iterations as you wanted, that you could create a child whose biological parents, grandparents, great-grandparents were all embryos that were created and destroyed in a laboratory, and that genetic lineage simply vanished. And their only related living parents, quote-unquote, are actually, great or great-great or great-great-great or whatever grandparents. And there's a lot of people that are really excited about this multiplex parenting.
I thought the whole point of parenthood was to raise kids just so you can be good grandparents, right? Why would you want to skip steps? I might be missing something. Let me know.
Right, so the image you're seeing behind me here is the egg photo that was released that apparently was shot underground in Antarctica of a strange UFO that was, discovered, okay? You that are going to sit there and go, it's AI, this is not real. Hold up. So I run a few images through the AI generated image checker, and here's one that says no tampering. Here's two that says no tampering. You can pause it and read it if you like. And here's a third one that says no tampering. Very interesting. To the OP, apparently the egg didn't have any sort of symbolisms on them, to his knowledge, right? But if we check a little bit closer, look at the Egyptian hieratic numerals, I think they are. They're kind of dotted all around, and there's your imagery here, and they are pinpointed to the markings on this shell that people thought it was actually chips. But lo and behold, it's something more. And here's another image of the craft itself. People are like, oh, this was a refueling cone on the thing. But if you rewatch the footage, I'll pull it here as well. The thing swinging, that is not a refueling cone. I don't care what any of you say, that is not. It's something completely different. And here's an AI rendition of, or a photo generation of what this thing would look like. Because it looks like it's strapped into a harness, right? Yes. And in the original piece of footage, they say, why do the photos have so much noise and gain? Night vision, and these aren't the raw files, there were photos taken from monitor and undisclosed location. Got any more photos or videos of inside the cage? Yes, but legally this is as far as he can go for now, but there will be more coming apparently, right? Can you go deeper into the corpus, or whatever that says, Hermeticum? According to him, the way Hermes, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that, speaks about God, or the one in the most profound way a human can describe the divine, he believes that books like the Bible and the Quran are merely reflections of the humanity projected onto God. I'm not even going to say anything on that. I'll let you guys in the religious world try and figure that one out. Why didn't you mention the Battle of Basel 1566? What was the different from the Nuremberg? It was not related to the creators, it was between other races. Remember, we did and still have illegal races coming here. So he speaks about possible two different races that are here. You've got ones that want to be secret and want to remain kind of quiet, and obviously they're observing, which might be all the sort of things that are like the orbs or that we're encountering. And there's ones that are saying that the creators are the bad guys. So, I don't know. And all of this stuff apparently was shot around the Queen Elizabeth Range in Antarctica. This is where all the weirdness happens. And I'm telling you what, right, you go to Google Earth, you zoom in, you can't see anything. I know people are like, yeah, but it's way out the way. Right, Google Earth sees everywhere on the map and you can see stuff at a high quality. And every time there's something of suspicion that the public then gain attention to, they just pixelate it out. You can't see anything. And if you was going to do anything anyway, secretly, and, you know, poke a few fingers up some ET butts and stuff, this would be the place that you would want to go to, dog, because you ain't getting nothing in and out there without their say-so. Government powers. I mean, OP's dialogue to this whole ordeal about them apparently seeing a being that was found in a coffin-like, non-cryogenic thing, that he arose up and woke himself up and was aware of the people there. Something along those lines. And it's absolutely crazy, man. It sounds like something straight out of Stargate, right? And apparently this was like a Nordic-looking being in nature. He was completely naked. There was a whole lot of other stuff involved as well. Bro, the rabbit hole goes deeper. And if I carry on going on, like, I'll be here all night.
Cover up scandals. There's that one famous scandal where one of the top male stars, it was a top A-level star, I think he was drunk, ran over somebody in a car, and somebody from the studio went to jail for like 7 years and took the rap.
Whoa.
So that the star could stay out, and the studio paid the guy like a stipend to go to jail. Wow. It's a very famous story. So some guy did 7 years or something.
That's crazy.
I mean, everybody says what they will and what they won't do. You know, for the right number, and it got to be in the millions. In the millions, you know. I'm pretty sure you can almost get anybody to go to jail for 7 years, but it had to be 10, 20 mil, and you'll go. But hey, it's gonna cost.
I cannot believe what I'm seeing in this video. Do you see it? What's weird about this FIFA World Cup thing right here? Y'all, it's literally in the presence of two separate angels. And heck no, I'm not talking about the people. This is literally, the outside is like a throne or an orphan, and then the inside is like a cherubim. Y'all, why in the world would they shape this award the exact way that the Bible describes certain angels? Not to mention, we've been having these things pop up in the sky lately. I'm sure this video right here is fake, but then we had this image which was going around when we had the Dior bags going around. But these things have been seen everywhere. By the way, I got surprised at the end. Gonna do a fast forward real quick. People are finally finding out what stars really are, not to mention we have these scientists coming out with the Dyson spheres. By the way, watch how fast this video gets copied. It's March 7th at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Now the bonus, have you ever played Final Fantasy VII? Well, Sephiroth's actually the devil and a seraphim, just like the Bible. Different stages of the last boss are literally different power level angels. And you know that grievingly strong attack he uses? You know, that wipes out the whole earth in the game? What is this? Nasha? Apophis? Google Images says 2029 a meteor is gonna wipe us out? You don't say. But anyways, why do y'all think they made the award in the shape of angels? Or am I reaching?
This is insane. I learned that Emmanuel Macron has hired a crisis PR firm in the United States. And this crisis PR firm has connections at TikTok. In one day, all 4 of the Becoming Brigitte clips that we cut on TikTok were hit with strikes, and my account is now facing a ban. Okay, this all happened last week. It's been insane, and we are dealing with this. And I think the best answer to this would be for people to go watch the series, to watch every series that we do. But it is difficult for me to put into words how utterly deranged and psychopathic it is that this man is trying to move through the United States court systems to shut down speech, and has now hired a crisis PR firm to try to deal with TikTokers to be banned for discussing the truth about the person that he married. Okay? He was never going to bring this court case into the public, into Tennessee. I have dared him many times to do this because I told no lies. Okay? I told no lies throughout that series.
The idea is that Willow might be communicating with parallel universes to finish calculations faster. Like, what does that mean? But the idea is that they're pulling answers from different universes simultaneously. They don't even completely understand how this is working. But the amount of power in computing is incomprehensible.
Google's quantum chip just detected something impossible, and it's terrifying scientists. For years, we believed the laws of physics were unbreakable, but this new experiment has recorded something that simply shouldn't exist. The chip's calculations defy logic, results appearing before computations even begin, data shifting in ways no one can explain. Have we just uncovered a hidden force, or is this a glitch in reality itself? If this anomaly is real, it could mean one of two things. Either we're witnessing a new fundamental force in the universe, or the fabric of reality isn't as stable as we thought. What if the laws of physics aren't as stable as we think? What exactly did Google's quantum chip detect? Google's quantum research team set out to conduct a routine experiment, one that should have followed the well-established rules of quantum mechanics. Using their state-of-the-art quantum processor, they ran high-precision simulations designed to model complex quantum interactions. The goal was simple: observe and refine how quantum systems behave under controlled conditions. But something bizarre happened. Instead of following predictable quantum mechanical behavior, the chip began producing results before the calculations had even started. Data logs showed outputs appearing milliseconds before the computations were initiated, something that should be fundamentally impossible. It was as if the chip had already processed information before being given any instructions. Even stranger, the chip's quantum states refused to collapse the way they were expected to. In quantum mechanics, superposition allows a quantum bit, or qubit, to exist in multiple states at once until it is measured. But in this experiment, certain qubits remained in an indeterminate state far longer than they should have, resisting the natural process of decoherence that typically forces them into a definitive outcome. Then came the most unsettling discovery. When scientists repeated the same calculations under identical conditions, the results weren't always the same. Despite running the same simulations with the same inputs, they observed fluctuations in the final outputs, as if some unknown variable was interfering with the system. This wasn't a simple computational error. There was a pattern to the inconsistencies. Had Google's quantum chip tapped into something beyond our current understanding of physics? Was it interacting with an unknown force, or had the experiment revealed an underlying flaw in our knowledge of quantum mechanics? If these anomalies are real, they could change everything we know about computation and reality itself. Are we witnessing a new quantum effect? The anomalies recorded in Google's quantum chip have left scientists scrambling for explanations. If these results are not just a computational glitch, then they may be pointing to something far more profound, a completely new quantum effect that challenges everything we thought we knew about the behavior of matter and energy at the smallest scales. One possibility is that the chip is interacting with an unknown quantum force. In traditional physics, all known forces, gravity, electromagnetism, and the strong and weak nuclear forces, have been well defined within the standard model. But what if there is another force operating at the quantum level, one that only becomes apparent under extreme conditions like those created in Google's experiment? If true, this would be one of the most groundbreaking discoveries in modern physics, forcing a reevaluation of the fundamental forces that shape our universe.
I have a strong suspicion that they're going to end up finding something that they weren't even looking for. And it might not be all good when that happens. So I know I'll be posted either way.
Scientists created the strongest armor material ever recorded. This innovative material is a two-dimensional polymer with an unprecedented density of 100 trillion mechanical bonds per square centimeter, resulting in exceptional strength and flexibility. The creation of this material stems from the concept of mechanical bonds, first introduced in the 1980s, where molecules are interlocked like links in a chain. Previous attempts to incorporate these bonds into polymers had been unsuccessful due to limitations in the size of the molecular rings. However, the team overcame this challenge by using X-shaped monomers as building blocks, arranging them into a crystalline structure, and then interlinking them with another molecule. This resulted in a unique two-dimensional polymer with interwoven layers of X-shaped monomers, creating a network of interlocking bonds. Remarkably, this material exhibits both flexibility and strength. Under light force, it remains pliable, but as force increases, the mechanical bonds stretch to their limits, causing the material to become rigid. This property, known as strain hardening, is highly desirable for creating tough and durable materials. In tests, adding just a small amount of the polymer to Ultem, a high-performance fiber similar to Kevlar, significantly increased its strength and toughness, suggesting its potential use in advanced body armor and ballistics protection. This breakthrough could revolutionize various industries, paving the way for the development of lightweight, yet incredibly strong materials for applications ranging from aerospace to protective gear.
Well, you guys, hey, that's another one in the books, man. I appreciate you guys for stopping by yet again and watching another one with me. If you haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button for me. Smash that subscribe button. Join the iTrack fam. And I will definitely catch you on the next one.